Hey everyone, this is Renee Frey from Talent Q, and you're listening to the Conscious Professional Podcast. More people than ever want to be happy in their career and personal life, but they're going about it all wrong. I'm here to set the record straight and emphasize the importance of prioritizing your mindset. I'm thrilled you're here. All right, so I want you to picture today's episode like this. We're just chilling on my couch at my house. I'm chatting with you like we're good friends. We're super relaxed, super comfortable, because today's topic is something I know so many people struggle with because it comes up all the time with my clients. Once they face it and make some changes, it leads to stronger relationships, not just in their personal lives, but also in their careers. So what's this thing people struggle with? Boundaries. Yep, setting boundaries with people. And I know it's one of those things that sounds super simple, but can feel really tough to do. Why? I think it's because the stories we start creating in our heads, like trying to predict the future. We worry about how things are going to go down once we bring it up with a friend, or maybe even our boss when we say, hey, if you do this, then I'll do that. But you know what happens like 99% of the time? When people finally get out of their comfort zones and go for it and set a boundary, they come back to me and say, wow, it went way better than I thought it would, Renee. It's wild how much easier it is than we expect. Now let's talk about relationships for a hot minute. And this goes for all types of relationships, whether it's romantic partners, friends, coworkers, clients, family, you name it. Relationships are the fabric of our lives, right? For me personally, they are what make life worth living. And I think we can all agree that good relationships make everything better. Before we dive into the whole boundary setting thing, though, I want to drop a little secret on you. This is huge. Your relationship with anyone depends entirely on your thoughts about them. Yep, let me say that again. Your relationship with someone is all about how you think about them. Mind-blowing, right? This truth can totally flip how you see things. It's not about love, anger, or hurt. You can't just have love for someone. You just have loving thoughts about them. You can't really be mad at someone. It's your thoughts that are making you mad. And they can't hurt your feelings. Your thoughts create that feeling of hurt. Once you really grasp this, it changes everything. If you're thinking, how do I practice this or put this into action? I got you. Make sure you pay close attention to your thoughts whenever you interact with someone or when you're thinking about someone. Notice how you label your emotions, like being mad or feeling hurt. And take a step back for a minute and recognize that these emotions stem from your own thoughts, not the actions of others. When you catch yourself feeling negatively about someone, pause and ask yourself, what specific thought is leading to this feeling? If you feel upset about something, ask yourself, what are you thinking about the person? Or what are you thinking about the situation that is making you feel that way? You can also reframe your thoughts in a way that feels more empowering or even neutral. For example, instead of thinking, they don't care about me, you could reframe it as, I'm thinking they don't care, but I can't actually know what they are feeling. And keep reminding yourself that people's behavior comes from their own experiences and their own emotions, which you'll never fully understand. Instead of thinking they're trying to hurt me, reframe it to maybe they're struggling with something and I'm taking it personally. Make this a daily practice to regularly reflect on your relationships and the thoughts you associate with them. An easy way to do this, you know me, I love journaling, is to use a journal or a simple mental check-in to ask yourself, what thoughts do I have about this person today? And how do these thoughts affect my relationship with them? And don't forget, your emotions are your personal responsibility. You are in control of them. Whether you think so or not, you can control them. No one can control how you feel. Only you do. This will lead you down the path of cultivating healthier, more balanced relationships by focusing on your thoughts. In the end, it will allow for deeper emotional control and understanding, ultimately leading to more peaceful, fulfilling relationships. What we all want, right? This shift in perspective will literally transform how you handle every relationship in your life. And that's what we want when we talk about setting boundaries, right? I'm going to go into the nitty-gritty of relationships now. There are 9 components that make up a relationship. It's kind of a deep dive, but it will help give us some clarity on why boundaries are so important. So here are the 9. Emotional bond, mutual interaction, shared interests, communication, trust and respect, reciprocity, commitment, boundaries, there it is, and duration. So think about those for a sec. These are the building blocks of every relationship, and boundaries is one of the big ones. Now, is there one of those that you personally struggle with in that list? I bet for a lot of us, it's boundaries. We're going to zero in on that today. And here's the cool part. You can set boundaries with anyone. Friends, family, coworkers, clients, basically anyone you're in a relationship with. I'm going to give you some really great tools to make this happen. So let's get practical. I want you to think of someone you need to set a boundary with. Think about a relationship that's been making you feel uncomfortable or stressed. All right, once you've got that thought of that person, I've got some questions for you that I want you to reflect on. And don't worry, if you're driving, I'll pop them into the show notes of this episode so you don't have to scramble to write them down. You can look at them later. So the first question I want you to answer is, what's the boundary violation? Then I want you to answer, what's the boundary you want to set? The third thing is the request. If you ... What's your request going to be? Start with that if you statement. Then 4, the consequence. Then I will ... What I will do if they cross the line. Question 5, what are your fears with establishing this boundary? What are the benefits of setting this boundary? How will you communicate this boundary to this person? How will you make sure you stick to it? And then a goal for taking action. You got to write down the date you will communicate this boundary in this relationship. Now, here's the kicker. You've got to take action. Set a deadline and pick a date when you're actually going to communicate this boundary to the person. And yeah, you might still feel some nerves, anxiety, or fear, but that's totally okay. It just means you care about this relationship and you're pushing out of your comfort zone. Your subconscious mind might freak out and think, oh shit, we're going into confrontation. But guess what? It's not. If you're still feeling these emotions, remember this. It's not a confrontation. It's just you expressing your needs. And yeah, it might conflict with what the other person expects, but that's okay. It's not about them. It's about you and what you need to feel comfortable and respected. Here's the thing. Boundaries are the key to healthy relationships. They are not always easy, but they are so worth it. Now, when you go to set this boundary, be very clear. Don't dance around it. Say exactly what behaviors or actions you're comfortable with or that you're not comfortable with. Be very specific. And pick a good time to bring it up. Don't bring this up in the heat of the moment when things are already emotional. And when you're doing this, use I statements to keep it about your needs, not their faults. Listen to their side too, but be firm on what you need. And once it's over and you've successfully communicated your boundary, I encourage you to reflect on your own about how communicating this boundary made you feel. Was it easier than you thought? Was it harder than you thought? Do you feel relieved? Do you feel like that relationship will now be stronger with better communication? How could you improve on your delivery for the next time you have to communicate boundaries in another relationship? Asking yourself all of these thought-provoking questions and writing them down right after you have that conversation is incredibly valuable. Do you want to know why? Because the next time you need to communicate boundaries in a different relationship, you will most likely feel a little scared and intimidated all over again, even though you've already done it. So when these feelings come up again, you can refer back to the notes you took for the reassurance that everything's going to be okay and that communicating those boundaries was the right thing to do for your relationship. Then after you do this, go freaking celebrate. You deserve it. Setting boundaries is tough. And when you do it, that's a win. So give yourself credit for taking care of your relationships and taking care of yourself. This stuff can change your life, my friend, and I hope you found it useful. So the key points from today's episode are: setting boundaries often feels scarier in our minds than it actually is. Boundaries are essential for healthy relationships. While they may not always be easy to establish, they make a huge difference. Reflecting on the experience of setting a boundary can encourage and empower you for the next time you need to do it. Thanks so much for listening, everyone. Share this episode with someone you love and go make one change to be better than you were yesterday. Live your life with intention. I believe in you. I'm on a mission to help as many people as possible. So if you would, please hit the follow button so we can grow our community of conscious professionals. Whether you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, you can find the button at the top of the page. See you next week. Cheers, everyone.